Think 600cc bikes are just starter sport bikes? Think again. These machines are high-revving, tire-shredding beasts built for one thing: pure speed. We're talking about motorcycles that make over 140 horsepower, rev past 15,000 RPM, and weigh less than your average gym bro's deadlift. Today, we're diving into the most powerful 600cc motorcycles ever unleashed. Bikes so aggressive, they've embarrassed leader bikes and dominated racetracks worldwide. If you thought middleweight meant mild, buckle up. These bikes aren't here to play nice. They're here to ruin egos and rewrite the rules of what 600cc can do. Let's dive into the machines that prove you don't need a leader bike to hit warp speed. Yamaha YZF R6. Few motorcycles have reached mythical status quite like the Yamaha YZF R6. Launched in 1999, the R6 was a revelation: compact, high-revving, and the first 600cc four-cylinder to push over 100 horsepower right from the factory. It set the tone for what a middleweight supersport could be: razor-sharp, brutally fast, and unapologetically focused on performance. Unlike its rivals that played it safe with a broader power band, the R6 demanded commitment. With a red line screaming beyond 15,000 RPM and a famously cheeky tack that claimed 17,500, the R6 delivered its thrills at the top of the rev range. By the time Yamaha had refined it through multiple generations, the R6 was pumping out 127 horsepower at the crank. And that was just the start. Race teams took it to another level. 10 Kate Racing and GMT 94 squeezed this little beast for all it was worth, with dyno numbers touching 153 horsepower and weights as low as 356 pounds. That's not just quick, it's ballistic. You're looking at leader bike power from a bike barely weighing more than a feather duster. Sadly, emissions regulations caught up, and Yamaha pulled the R6 from street duty. But it wasn't the end. It was reborn as a track-only model, continuing its legacy in racing paddocks around the world. The R6 is more than just a motorcycle. It's a benchmark, a legend, and for many, the ultimate 600cc experience. If you've ever pinned an R6 to redline, you know, it doesn't just ride. It howls. Love high-revving chaos? Hit subscribe and tell us, does the R6 still reign supreme? Honda CBR 600RR. If the Yamaha R6 was the wild child of the 600 class, Honda's CBR 600RR was the prodigy raised in a lab. Born in 2003, the 600RR wasn't just a revamped CBR 600F, it was a total reimagining. Honda ditched practicality and went full MotoGP, pulling design inspiration straight from their championship-winning RC211V. The result? A purpose-built machine with razor-sharp handling, an ultra-lightweight aluminum frame, inverted forks, and track-focused geometry that made it feel just as comfortable at 150 miles per hour as it did tipping into a hairpin. Power? A respectable 117 horsepower in stock form, but that was just the beginning. With the right tuning, this bike transforms into an absolute missile. Race builds have been dynoed, pushing out 140 horsepower to the rear wheel, not crank, rear wheel. That's usable, tire vaporizing power. And if that's not wild enough, a turbocharged version managed to rip past 206 miles per hour on the Bonneville Salt Flats. Let that sink in, 206 miles per hour, from a 599 cubic centimeter bike. That's the kind of lunacy we respect. Though it was shelved briefly, Honda brought the 600RR back in 2021 for Japan and 2024 for Europe, with updated electronics and fresh styling. Meanwhile, the US is still stuck with the previous gen model, like being handed last year's iPhone while your friends are using teleporters. Still, the CBR 600RR remains a true supersport icon. It's precise, potent, and packed with MotoGP lineage. If you ever doubted Honda's commitment to the 600 class, this bike silences it. Kawasaki ZX6R. Kawasaki has never been shy about shaking things up, and the ZX6R is proof of that rebellious spirit. Introduced in 1995 with the expected 599 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, it played by the rules until 2003, when Kawasaki decided rules were for other people. They bumped the displacement up to 636 cubic centimeters, giving riders a significant edge in street performance with extra torque and a punchier mid-range. The move paid off. The ZX6R suddenly became the most usable supersport on the street, offering the raw thrill of a track machine without needing to bounce off the rev limiter just to pass someone on the freeway. And for those who still wanted to race in official 600cc categories, Kawasaki simultaneously offered the ZX6RR, which retained the traditional displacement for homologation. Fast forward to recent years, and the modern ZX6R delivers nearly 130 horsepower in stock trim. But it gets even more exciting on the racetrack. Under World Supersports' relaxed displacement rules, tuned ZX6Rs have been unleashed with 145 horsepower, making them absolute weapons in the right hands. Add in premium tech like a quick shifter, traction control, adjustable riding modes, and a vibrant TFT display, and you're looking at a middleweight bike with big league capabilities. The ZX6R doesn't just bend the rules, it rewrites them with a green-streaked signature. It's the bike for riders who want performance without compromise, and who don't mind being a little bit bad while going very, very fast. Suzuki GSX-R 600. The Suzuki GSX-R 600, affectionately known as the Gixxer, is the no-frills warrior of the 600cc world. It doesn't boast outrageous electronics, and it doesn't have fancy rider modes or displacement loopholes. What it does have is pure, old-school sport bike grit, and a reputation built on decades of consistency and performance. Since its debut in 1992, the GSX-R 600 has earned its place as a reliable, razor-sharp machine beloved by both racers and canyon carvers alike. It's the bike that shows up, puts in work, and doesn't ask for applause. In its latest form, it delivers around 124 horsepower, which might sound modest next to its more flamboyant rivals. But numbers don't tell the whole story. What the Gixxer lacks in flashy tech, it makes up for with balance and precision. It's light, agile, and incredibly intuitive. The chassis and suspension package give it a natural feel that makes you forget you're riding a machine. It's just you, the throttle, and the next corner. Sure, Suzuki hasn't blessed it with major updates in recent years, and the US version still skips ABS, which seems almost defiant in today's tech-saturated world. But that's exactly why purists love it. It's raw, it's real, and it demands rider skill over rider assists. The GSX-R 600 might not scream the loudest or rev the highest, but it's still a proper weapon in the hands of a confident rider. It's a reminder that sometimes simplicity is the ultimate performance enhancer. Digging the 600cc legends? Smash subscribe and comment your favorite so far. Triumph Daytona 675R. Alright, we're breaking a few rules here. Okay, we're basically doing the splits. The Triumph Daytona 675R doesn't technically fit the 600cc inline-4 mold. It's not a 600, and it's not a 4-cylinder. But rules were made to be bent, and the Daytona 675R earns its place on this list through sheer performance, pedigree, and personality. Launched in 2006, the Daytona 675 was Triumph's bold response to the Japanese dominance in the supersport class. Instead of following the crowd, Triumph dropped a 675 cubic centimeter triple-cylinder engine into a sleek, lightweight chassis. The result? A bike that blended the torque-rich pull of a twin with the high-revving top end of a 4. It was the best of both worlds, plus a soundtrack that made every twist of the throttle a musical event. The R variant stepped things up further with Öhlins suspension, Brembo monoblock brakes, lightweight wheels, and carbon fiber accents. This wasn't just a fancy trim package, it was a race-ready weapon straight from the showroom. Stock, it made around 128 horsepower, with lightly modified versions breaking into the 130-plus range. Wet weight sat at about 405 pounds, though with a full exhaust and a bit of dieting, many track builds dipped below 370, That's elite-level performance with all the charm of a British rock star. While production eventually ceased, the Daytona 675R remains a cult classic. It didn't just compete with the 600s, it often outshone them. For riders who wanted to be fast and stand out, the Daytona was the perfect triple threat. MV Agusta F3 675. If you've ever wondered what happens when a motorcycle manufacturer channels the spirit of a supercar designer with a flair for dramatics, look no further than the MV Agusta F3 675. This isn't just a sport bike, it's a rolling sculpture with a temper. With swooping bodywork and a sound that borders on opera, the F3 675 looks and feels like it was designed to be stared at and scared of. Beneath its exotic exterior lies a 675 cubic centimeter triple-cylinder engine, producing around 128 horsepower. But don't let that number fool you. It's the delivery that makes it so special. Thanks to MotoGP-derived tech, like a counter-rotating crankshaft, rare even in high-end bikes, ride-by-wire throttle, and an electronic suite with 8 levels of traction control, the F3 is surgical and savage all at once. This bike isn't for the faint of heart. It's light, it's twitchy, and it demands respect. Push it too hard without finesse, and it'll remind you it's Italian. Not stubborn, just passionate. But get it right. Nail that apex, hit that perfect downshift, and exit the corner on the gas. And the F3 rewards you with one of the most visceral riding experiences in the class. It's not the most comfortable, nor the easiest to live with. But for the rider who values soul, style, and a pure connection to the road, the MV Agusta F3 675 is an absolute masterpiece. A track day symphony in 3 cylinders. What's the deal with 600s? Now, with emissions laws tightening and manufacturers focusing on more street-friendly machines, the golden era of screaming 600s is slowly fading. Bikes like the R7, Ninja 650, and even the new Triumph Daytona 660 offer supersport styling with more accessible power. That's great for the daily rider, but they'll never match the thrill of riding a 600 at redline on the edge of traction. Still, there's hope. As long as racing exists, so will these bikes in some form. Track-only R6s, limited runs of 600 RRs, and crazy 636 builds will continue to show up at tracks and make people go, "What the hell was that noise?" And there you have it. 6 of the most powerful, iconic, and downright insane 600cc motorcycles ever built. Whether it's the high-revving scream of an R6, the GP DNA of the CBR 600RR, or the Italian fury of the F3 675, these bikes prove that middleweights can punch way above their weight class. They're fast, unforgiving, and unforgettable. Which one would you ride into the sunset or into the pits at your next track day? Let us know in the comments, hit that like button, and stay tuned for more two-wheeled adrenaline.